Their best investment advice for beginners is rarely about picking the right stock, timing the perfect entry, or discovering a hidden opportunity before everyone else. When you listen carefully to what legendary investors actually tell people at the beginning of their journey, a very different message emerges. The advice is almost always behavioral, not tactical. It is about how to think before it is about what to buy, because the greatest danger to beginners is not the market, but their own untrained reactions to uncertainty, boredom, fear, and success. One of the most consistent pieces of advice from financial legends is to protect capital before trying to grow it. Warren Buffett's famous rule, "Never lose money," is often misunderstood as literal impossibility. What he is really warning beginners against is permanent loss. Early capital is fragile, not because it is small, but because it represents future opportunity. Buffett repeatedly emphasizes that compounding only works if you stay in the game long enough. Beginners who chase quick gains often destroy the very foundation they need for long-term success. The lesson is simple, but uncomfortable. Slow growth beats fast mistakes every time. Another core lesson is to stay within your circle of competence. Benjamin Graham. Buffett and Charlie Munger all stressed that beginners should invest only in things they genuinely understand, not things that sound intelligent or exciting. This advice is not about limiting ambition, but about reducing self-deception. When you do not understand why an investment works, you also will not understand when it stops working. Beginners often mistake complexity for sophistication. Financial celebrities warn that clarity is a far stronger edge than cleverness, especially early on. Patience appears in almost every piece of beginner advice from financial icons. Beginners tend to believe that frequent action equals progress. Experienced investors know the opposite is usually true. Buffett, Munger, and even traders like Jesse Livermore all emphasized waiting as a skill. The market does not reward effort, it rewards alignment. Most opportunities are mediocre. The discipline to wait for fewer, higher quality decisions is what separates investors from gamblers. For beginners, learning to do nothing without feeling anxious is often the hardest and most valuable lesson. Risk sizing is another theme that appears repeatedly. Legendary investors warn beginners not to bet big early even when confidence feels high. George Soros famously said that survival matters more than correctness. Beginners often believe conviction should be rewarded with size. Experienced investors know that conviction is most dangerous when it is untested. Small position sizes allow beginners to learn without emotional overload. They create space for reflection instead of panic. The advice here is not to avoid risk, but to keep risk small enough that mistakes remain educational rather than traumatic. Many financial celebrities also advise beginners to separate identity from outcomes as early as possible. Markets are brutal teachers of humility. When beginners tie their self-worth to winning trades or rising portfolios, every loss becomes personal. This emotional attachment accelerates poor decisions. Ray Dalio has spoken openly about how early failures taught him that pain plus reflection equals progress. The key insight for beginners is that losing money does not mean you are stupid, and making money does not mean you are skilled. Process matters far more than short-term results. Another piece of advice that appears again and again is to avoid debt and leverage early. Leverage magnifies everything, including ignorance. Financial celebrities who used leverage successfully did so after years of experience, deep understanding, and strict risk control. Beginners who borrow to invest compress learning time into survival time. The market becomes unforgiving. Most legends agree that if you cannot succeed without leverage, leverage will not save you. It will only accelerate failure. Long-term thinking is also emphasized relentlessly. Beginners often focus on months or even days. Financial icons think in years and decades. Buffett reminds beginners that the stock market is a mechanism for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. This is not a metaphor. It is an observation. Markets fluctuate far more than underlying value in the short term. Beginners who expect immediate validation usually abandon good ideas at the worst possible moment. Learning to tolerate delayed reward is not optional. It is the price of entry. Finally, nearly every financial celebrity urges beginners to invest in learning before investing large sums. This includes reading foundational books, studying past market cycles, journaling decisions, and reflecting on mistakes. The goal is not to become an expert quickly, but to reduce ignorance steadily. Early learning compounds just like capital. The habits you build while the stakes are small will define how you behave when the stakes are large. When all of this advice is distilled, a clear pattern emerges. Financial celebrities do not give beginners exciting advice. They give protective advice. They are far more concerned with what beginners should avoid than with what they should pursue. They understand that the beginner's real challenge is not opportunity, but survival with discipline intact. And it is precisely at this point when beginners stop looking for shortcuts and start building behaviors that can survive uncertainty, that the deeper meaning of their advice begins to emerge. And the story is not yet complete, because the deeper value of this advice only reveals itself when beginners begin to experience real pressure, real losses, and real temptation. Part 2 is where legendary advice stops sounding conservative and starts sounding precise. What financial celebrities are really doing is teaching beginners how to survive their own psychology long enough for learning and compounding to take place. One of the most important lessons hidden inside their advice is that early success is more dangerous than early failure. Many beginners believe losses are the main threat. In reality, quick wins often create false confidence. Jesse Livermore's life is the clearest warning here. His early successes convinced him he had mastered the market, and that belief led him to violate his own rules repeatedly. Financial legends warn beginners not to trust early profits as proof of skill. A few winning trades prove nothing. What matters is whether your behavior remains disciplined when you feel confident. This is why so much advice focuses on restraint, even during success, not just during loss. Another deeper layer is the emphasis on process over prediction. Beginners naturally want to know what will happen next. Legendary investors redirect that energy toward preparing responses instead. What will you do if the market moves against you? What will invalidate your idea? When will you stop? This shift from forecasting to planning is subtle but transformative. It turns uncertainty from a source of anxiety into a manageable variable. Financial celebrities learned early that prediction feeds ego while process feeds survival. There is also a hidden lesson about boredom. Much of the advice given to beginners sounds dull, because success in investing is often dull. Long stretches of waiting, reading, reviewing, and doing nothing are normal. Buffett has openly said that investing is simple but not easy, precisely because most people cannot tolerate inactivity without inventing reasons to act. Legends are teaching beginners that if you feel bored, you are probably doing it right. The market punishes excitement far more reliably than it rewards it. Risk management advice also carries a deeper message about emotional safety. Keeping positions small is not only about protecting money, it is about protecting judgment. Large losses damage more than accounts. They damage confidence and clarity. Financial celebrities want beginners to learn without trauma. Small losses teach lessons. Large losses teach fear. The difference determines whether someone stays in the game long enough to improve. Another lesson embedded in their guidance is humility as a skill, not a personality trait. Beginners are often told to be humble, but legends show what that actually means in practice. It means admitting, "I don't know," without rushing to act. It means changing your mind without self-justification. It means accepting that luck plays a role in outcomes. Ray Dalio's principle that pain plus reflection equals progress is not motivational. It is operational. Humility keeps learning open. Arrogance closes it. Perhaps the most powerful message in their advice is about time alignment. Financial celebrities want beginners to align their expectations with how markets actually reward behavior. Markets do not pay salaries. They do not reward effort evenly. They reward patience irregularly. Beginners who expect linear progress become emotionally unstable. Legends are teaching beginners to accept uneven progress as normal. This acceptance stabilizes behavior during drawdowns and prevents abandonment of good processes at exactly the wrong moment. There is also an unspoken warning about comparison. Beginners today are surrounded by stories of fast success screenshots and public performance. Financial celebrities rarely engage in this comparison game. Their advice implicitly teaches beginners to focus inward. Your process, your risk, your learning curve. Comparison accelerates emotional decision-making. Detachment protects clarity. When all of this is understood together, the advice of financial celebrities stops sounding cautious and starts sounding strategic. They are not trying to limit beginners. They are trying to keep them alive in a system that destroys those who move too fast without structure. Every warning is a survival instruction disguised as conservatism. The ultimate lesson for beginners is this: your first job is not to make money, but to become someone who can make money without self-destruction. That transformation takes time, repetition, and humility. Financial celebrities know this because they lived through it. Their advice is not theoretical. It is scar tissue translated into guidance. And this is where their words land most clearly. Success in investing does not come from brilliance applied briefly, but from discipline applied continuously. The beginner who listens carefully is not learning how to win faster, but how to last longer. And in markets, lasting long enough is the rarest and most valuable edge of all.